Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. In the last class, we had started with a very basic introduction to what Ethereum blockchain is. We discussed about the correlations among Ethereum and blockchain, and we identified several differences between Ethereum and blockchain. Given that both Bitcoin and Ethereum, both are powered by blockchain technology or the distributed ledger, there are different technical ways in which both of these blockchain technologies differ. So Bitcoin is has the concept where it is based on providing peer-to-peer digital money transfer. Now, when we get deep into Ethereum, we'll realize that Ethereum works like a world computer. The goal of Ethereum is to decentralize the internet. Founder of Bitcoin was Satoshi Nakamoto. Founder of Ethereum is Vitalik Buterin and his team. Bitcoin was released in the year 2009, January 2009. Ethereum was released in July 2015. The currency release method for Bitcoin was that you had to perform mining to get the initial coins, initial cryptocurrency. In Ethereum, it was done through initial coin offering, which we'll see. Then average block time for Bitcoin is 10 minutes, for Ethereum is 12 to 15 seconds. And the purpose of Bitcoin was to provide an alternative to regular money where you have banks involved. Here in Bitcoin, you can directly transfer money from one account to another. And the purpose for Ethereum is to provide peer-to-peer contracts which allow you to develop many other applications on top of it. So in the last class, there was a question about how many Ethereum coins could be mined. Somebody has asked the question, and we were saying that around 117.7 million Ether have been already in circulation. So Bitcoin has an upper cap of 21 million Bitcoins, but in Ethereum, there is no upper cap. There is no upper limit to how many Ether can be generated. The total circulating amount is 117 million as of now. So while Bitcoin is decentralized money, let us see what Ethereum is, how it is a smart contract platform, how are we calling it, why are we calling it a blockchain platform. So Ethereum is the second largest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is the basis from which Ethereum is born. Okay. So Ethereum is decentralized, it is open source, it is a blockchain platform. And it enables the creation of smart contracts and decentralized applications. Now, if the very big point of difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is decentralized money, but Ethereum is called programmable. So why do we call Ethereum programmable? Because Ethereum blockchain is capable of processing more than just transactions. With Ethereum blockchain, you can do more than just transfer money from one account to another. You can use it not only for cryptocurrency, but for a large variety of digital assets. And these digital assets could be a website, some gaming application, your network bandwidth, your computation cycles, anything that is tokenizable. So what we're saying is that with Ethereum, what you can do is you not only can just transfer cryptocurrency from one account to another, but you can digitize many of the assets. So we'll see how we digitize assets using Ethereum. Okay. And Ethereum can be used for more than just payment transfers or money transfer. Okay. It can be used for games. It can be used for decentralized application. It can be used for financial services, etc. So we are calling Ethereum programmable, and we are saying that like all other blockchain available, Ethereum is also decentralized in nature. And we are saying that using Ethereum, we can not only make transfer of money, we can also use it to digitize a large variety of assets. So what else can be decentralized which today is centralized? Can anybody tell me what applications can be decentralized which in the present are centralized? What applications can be moved to blockchain and can be decentralized? Anybody? The applications which can be decentralized using blockchain technology. And since Ethereum is a platform that allows you to decentralize, of course, we can decentralize Arogya Setu. Any other applications that can be decentralized? Now, by decentralization, we mean that government will not be in control of Arogya Setu. We as users of that app, we will be in control of Arogya Setu, but then we will need some mechanism, some algorithm to ensure that whatever information is being fed to Arogya Setu is verified, and also we need to ensure that the application is functional and there is no problem as to how the application is hosted, how users use the application, so like that. So any other example where decentralization can be brought about, and any application that today is centralized which can be decentralized with the help of blockchain? So you can decentralize voting. Voting is a very centralized process. You can decentralize banking. You can decentralize property registration. You have to go to the registrar office to get a property, to get your property registered or get stamp and all. You can decentralize that. You can decentralize the social network. Social networks are centralized because they are based on central server and they control all of the data that we upload. Driving license booking, yes. All of the government services that like our government provides, many of those applications, many of those services can be moved to blockchain. So Vitalik Buterin, he realized the how powerful blockchain can be and how applications can be deployed on blockchain. So this is what he did with Ethereum. He developed a blockchain platform on which you can also exchange currency, that is Ether, but you can also use Ethereum in order to develop other blockchain applications. And these applications are known as dApps, that is decentralized applications which are executing on Ethereum blockchain. And how those applications execute? They execute using the smart contract mechanism provided by Ethereum. So we'll see what dApps are, what smart contracts are, but this is to give you an overview that Ethereum is so much more than a cryptocurrency. It is a programmable blockchain-based platform that implements smart contracts. Okay. So we are saying that Ethereum can be used to decentralize many other digital assets, services provided by governments or whatever we as citizens, the different services that we use. So for a network to be truly decentralized, it uses a large number of computers to run it. We are saying that since we have already studied Bitcoin, I'm taking Bitcoin as an example. So when you say that your system is decentralized, it means that you have a large number of peers on your network that are involved in running that network. When we have a Bitcoin network, we have a large number of peers, a large number of nodes, which are minor nodes, general nodes, and they ensure that our Bitcoin blockchain network runs smoothly. So here also for Ethereum blockchain can be truly decentralized, if it uses a large network of computers to run it. So this is a very fundamental, you can say, a requirement. For a blockchain-based network to be truly decentralized, we should have a large number of peers who are running that network. Because if you don't have a large number of peers, what can happen is your network could be sabotaged. It could lead to some kind of attack, the 51% attack, or the writing the longest chain attack, different kinds of attacks. So Ethereum was proposed in late 2013 and then it was brought to life in 2014 by Vitalik Buterin. And Ethereum is a kind of a do-it-yourself platform where you can build your decentralized programs, you can build your decentralized services. And these decentralized programs and services are known as dApps. So if you want to create a decentralized program that no single person controls, not even yourself, even though you wrote it, all you have to do is you have to learn the Ethereum programming language, which is known as Solidity. Okay. So what I'm saying is, if you want to build your own application on top of the Ethereum blockchain, that application is known as dApp, which is a decentralized application. And in order to build that decentralized application, Ethereum has a programming language which is known as Solidity. So Ethereum platform has thousands of independent computers that are running it, meaning that it is fully decentralized. And once the program is deployed to Ethereum platform, the computers that are known as nodes will make sure it is executed as it is written. So Ethereum is not just a currency, it is a platform. And it makes use of a currency which is known as Ether to incentivize the network. So the scenario is that we have a Ethereum blockchain, which is a programmable blockchain platform. Using this programmable blockchain platform, we can deploy our own decentralized blockchain application. And in order to deploy our own decentralized application, we need to use Ethereum's programming language, which is known as Solidity. Okay. So Ethereum is not just a currency, it is a platform. And the currency that it uses is Ether. And the reason it uses Ether is because you want your miners to get some reward when they correctly verify a transaction or when they correctly execute a contract. So Ethereum's goal is to have a truly decentralized internet. So can anybody tell me today, is the internet centralized or decentralized? Is internet centralized or decentralized? Can anybody tell me? Exactly. Our internet is extremely centralized. Google, Amazon, Facebook, all of these like technological giants, they control the internet. Okay. So internet is extremely centralized as of now. And Ethereum's goal is to truly decentralize the internet. So what Ethereum does is it connects nodes directly with one another, and when they are connected with one another, that is, they have a peer-to-peer connection, Ethereum works like a powerful decentralized supercomputer. We'll see how that happens. That is, we have a network of computers that is involved in executing, in running one application. So that one application kind of makes Ethereum a decentralized supercomputer. So we are saying Ethereum's coding language, which is used to write smart contracts, is known as Solidity. So in real life, when you think of a contract, when we have a contract, it is written in the form of if and then. That is, you have conditions. If this condition is fulfilled, then this action will be taken. If this condition is not fulfilled, then this action will be taken. So in real life, all a contract is set to do is execute number of ifs and then, meaning that we'll have a set of conditions and we will have actions associated with those conditions. So for example, if I pay my landlord, say 30,000 rupees on the first of every month, then he will let me use my apartment. So this is my contract, that if I pay my rental fee on the very first day of the month, my landlord will let me use my apartment. So this is exactly how a smart contract works on Ethereum. So what Ethereum developers do is they write the contracts for the programs or the decentralized applications, and then the Ethereum network executes it. So what exactly happens is that suppose we have a Ethereum blockchain network. This blockchain network is consists of a number of nodes that are connected to one another. So, and all of them they will all form one single network. Okay. Now, Ethereum allows you to transfer money, but at the same time, it also allows you to build dApps, which is decentralized applications. And to build these decentralized applications, you use something known as smart contracts. Okay. And these smart contracts are written using Solidity. Okay. So this is the scenario. You have one single network, which is known as the Ethereum network. Ethereum network can be used for either transferring money. It can also be used for, say, building smart contracts, which are used in decentralized applications. Okay. So Ethereum makes use of smart contracts to build programs or services which are known as dApps. And the reason they are called smart contracts is because they deal with the entire aspect of the contract, that is enforcement, management, performance, payment. Every aspect of Ethereum smart contract is dealt with by these online contracts that are executed on Ethereum. So the previous example, that I am a tenant and I have a landlord. So the condition is, if I pay 30,000 on the beginning of each month, he will let me use the apartment. Okay. Now, Ethereum smart contracts can be used to automate this payment. So if I have a smart contract used for paying rent, then My landlord does not need to actively collect the money. The contract itself will know if the money has been sent or not. Okay. So smart contracts have been used for legal contracts. Say if I promise to send you $100 if you rate my lectures, say you give 5 as an excellent feedback on my lectures. So it will be a legal contract. So if you get a feedback form and you rate my lecture, so there will be a condition. If anybody rates it as 5, then the smart contract will execute and it will send $100 to your account. Okay. So this is the how the smart contract work. That I will send $100 into a computer program which is executing on a secure environment, and that computer program will send you $100 if you are rating the lecture as 5. Otherwise, what will happen is that amount will not be sent to you, it will be reverted back to me. So you see the resemblance between the legal contract and the smart contracts. Now, if we take this example, that is betting on an event. If you are betting on an event, so the condition is if event X happened is true, that is, if your condition is true, then what the smart contract will do is it will send $1,000 to party A, else it will send $1,000 to party B. So what it means is that smart contracts are automated in nature. And if we have say a betting app or a betting gaming app on our Ethereum platform, then smart contracts can be executed on it. That is, if somebody bets on some party and that party actually wins the match, then what will happen? $100 will be sent, else $100 will not be sent. So this is an example, bet on an event. If that event happens and the condition turns out to be true, then some party will receive the money, else some other party will receive the money. So you're automating a payment, you're automating a contract. Okay. Another type of like smart contract payment is escrow service. So when we say escrow, so what escrow means is that it is kind of a legal agreement in which a third party is temporarily holding large sum of money until some particular condition is met. So this is very much used in Ethereum blockchain. So if you look at this example, we have a sender A and we have a receiver B. So what exactly needs to happen here is that A needs to send some money to B. But since we are having an escrow service, what happens now is that A puts all this money into an escrow account. That is, your money has been temporarily stored in some third party account, and the money will only be transferred to B if B provides some service to A. So in this first step, you can see here that A has to make some payment to B in return of some service provided by B to A. Okay. So what exactly is happening is A is putting some amount of money into an escrow account. Okay. Now, if you come here, this escrow is acting as an intermediary. Okay. We have A, we have this escrow, we have B. So sender, receiver, and an escrow middle layer. Now B provides the intended service to A. B provides an intended service to A. Now, as soon as the service is provided to A, this escrow will release the amount. This escrow will release the amount to B. So A puts his amount in an escrow account, and this amount will be released only when B provides some service. So what we are saying is, we have a user A and we have a user B. Okay, and we have an intermediary, which is an escrow provider, and we have this escrow account. Now what happens is, this user A needs to make a payment to B. A needs to make a payment to B, but the condition is the payment will be made only when B provides service to A. Okay. A needs to make a payment to B, but the condition is that B provides some service to A. So what user A does is, in the first step, he will put money in escrow. Okay. This is the first step. Now, the money goes into this escrow account. Now, user B provides service to A. Okay, user B provides service to A. So this is the second step. Once the service is provided, the money will be released from the escrow account and will go to user B. So this escrow is acting as an intermediary. It is a third party which will also be receiving some incentive for providing the service. Okay. Now, if you look at this here, same is happening. A puts some money on hold. When B provides him the service, escrow releases the amount. Now, if you are implementing this using smart contract, let us see what will happen. But before that, let us see why we actually need the escrow service. So A puts some money on this escrow account, but B says, I won't give you Y. I will not provide you with the service. Now what will happen is, whatever money was put in the escrow account will go back to A. So this can be implemented via the smart contracts. That is, you can have a DApp, that is a decentralized application that provides the escrow service. And how you implement escrow service? You can write smart contracts using Ethereum to implement the logic of executing the payments. That is, you can have smart contracts that will say the payment will only be made if the service is provided, or the payment will be reverted in case the service is not provided. So this is what an escrow service can do when implemented using smart contracts. So why exactly do we need smart contracts? First, you are automating your processing, your implementation of contracts. Second is trust reduction. You don't have to trust the person to whom you are sending. You have a smart contract, a contract that will execute depending upon what conditions are met. So humans are not in control of the contract. You have to trust, you have to depend upon the environment for the execution of the contract. Is your smart contract is not ambiguous. There is no ambiguity. The contract, since it is written in programming language, it has very clear instructions, very clearly defined instructions. It will be executed as and when whatever conditions are being met. So the question here is how to express terms clearly in code. We'll see these when we start learning how smart contracts are written. But for now, smart contracts allow you to automatically process the contracts, that is, execute the terms of the contract whenever certain conditions are met, and that is too, it is done in an automated manner. There is trust reduction. You are not to trust the person that you are sending the money to or receiving the services from. You have to trust the secure environment which is providing, which is enforcing the terms of the contract. Third, since it is written in computer programming language, it is expressed in terms of code, the terms of the contract are ambiguous. They are clear. So in legal contracts, you can always find loopholes. But since this is a computer executed logic, the terms have been clearly expressed in the contracts. Okay. So this is what is a smart contract and why you should use a smart contract. Next, we will see some disadvantages that are associated with smart contracts. Now, when you're talking about a legal contract, what if you're not able to make the payment? Say you have to make a payment on 12th of October, but because of some unforeseen circumstances, you are not able to make the payment on 12th of October. You say that you can make the payment on 13th or on 14th. Will your smart contract take all this into account? No, it will not. Since smart contract is self-executing in nature, it will not take into account other factors, other like extenuating circumstances. It will not take into consideration the intention with which the contract was written. It will also not be able to make exceptions because since it is computer logic, it will depend on logic. It will self-execute whenever some conditions are met. So if you're not able to make payment on 12th of October, you will not get the service. It will not, a legal contract can make exceptions. Okay, if you're not able to make payment on 12th, make it on 13th, make it on 14th. But with smart contracts, this level of advantage is not available. So smart contract is self-executing and it is uncompromisingly letter strict. So once a smart contract is deployed on Ethereum, it cannot be changed or edited or corrected. How do we know that? We know that blockchain is immutable in nature. Whatever is written into the blockchain, it is tamper-proof. It cannot be altered. So once smart contracts are executed on Ethereum, they are immutable. They cannot be changed. The only way to change the contract is to convince the entire Ethereum network that a change should be made, and that is virtually impossible. So, just to bring this into perspective, there are two types of Ethereum blockchain. One is Ethereum and one is Ethereum Classic. So when this kind of, say, disagreement occurs, whether some contract has to be, say, rolled back, then that causes fork in the system. Some users will say, no, this contract should stay as it is. But some will say, no, we should switch, we should change the contract, we should say edit or correct it by re-executing the contract, storing it again on the blockchain. So when this kind of disagreement occurs in a community, what happens is that there is a fork. That is, some people decide to use this version of Ethereum, some people decide to use this version of Ethereum. So eventually what happens is there becomes two separate blockchains, Ethereum blockchains. So immutability in some sense can also be a disadvantage with respect to a blockchain. Also, it is difficult to secure. Now, why is it difficult to secure? Now, Ethereum has been created to implement very complex contracts, because since you're using programming language, which is Solidity, you can write very complex codes, very complex smart contracts using the language. Now, with smart contracts, security means that there should be perfect accuracy in handling the contract, and you have to take every possible way in which you have to take into account every possible way in which your smart contract can be executed in order to ensure that your smart contract does all of what that it is intended to do. So I'm saying is, this is a smart contract. It is a legal contract, but it is being executed by the computer, and that is why we are calling it a smart contract. And it has to deal with all aspects of a contract. So security becomes a very big aspect here, because you have to take every condition into account, every possible way in which your contract could execute if some condition occurs. So you have to secure your smart contract against every possible way in which a smart contract could execute in a manner that it was not intended to do. So sometimes it becomes very difficult to secure a smart contract. Next, some more interesting applications for smart contracts. So you can have access policies that can be implemented using smart contracts depending upon the amount of money that you can withdraw, etc. Then you can implement a digital will using smart contracts. So you can create a will in the form of a smart contract, and when the owner of that will dies, you can transfer different assets to different people depending upon the terms of the smart contracts. Then some general applications could be, you can use it for insurance, because you have a lot of legal contracts in insurance. So here you'll have to take everything into account, that it should be secure, it should be written in, because you know that it is immutable, it should be written in such a manner that it does not need any editing. And it can also be used for making payments for different services like file storage, bandwidth, computation, etc. So smart contracts can be used for making payments also, and that payment can be made in the form of Ether. So we have been talking about Ether again and again. So Ether is the cryptocurrency of Ethereum blockchain. So when people talk about price of Ethereum, they are actually referring to the price of Ether. So it is the currency that incentivizes people to run the Ethereum protocol on their own computer. So Ethereum is the cryptocurrency of the Ether is the cryptocurrency of the Ethereum blockchain, just as we have BTC as the cryptocurrency of the Bitcoin blockchain. So this Ether currency is what people get as reward for running the Ethereum Ethereum blockchain on their computer, for verifying transactions, for building blocks. So it is very similar to how Bitcoin miners get paid for maintaining the Bitcoin blockchain. Similarly, Ethereum miners, Ethereum nodes also get paid in the form of Ether for maintaining the Ethereum blockchain network. Okay. And another important thing to know here is that you decided that you want to build a decentralized application on top of Ethereum. And there will be certain conditions that will be present in the smart contract. So if you are implementing an insurance application, you are implementing, say, e-voting application, you are implementing a digital will, you are implementing a gaming application. So conditions for that applications are written in the smart contract. So what actually Ethereum blockchain is, in order to deploy your smart contract on Ethereum, you will have to pay the network. You will have to pay the miners who are validating, verifying your smart contract. And this payment is done in the form of Ethereum, in the form of Ether. And why do we have to make a payment? This is done so that authors or the programmers who want their application, decentralized application, to run on Ethereum, they are able to write efficient and optimized codes. So this is like a relationship between what Ethereum is, what Ether is, what a smart contract is, what a decentralized application is. So if you have any questions, you can ask, because I don't want to introduce a new topic today. From next time onwards, we'll see how an Ethereum wallet works. Then we'll see how transactions are executed on Ethereum. That is, if you transfer money from one person to another, how will that be executed? Then we'll see how you build decentralized applications on Ethereum, how smart contracts are used. So in successive classes, we'll see all of these. But in order to understand that, you have to understand the relationship between Ethereum, Ether, smart contracts, and decentralized applications. So if you have any doubts, please do ask. Okay, you want me to repeat the disadvantages. Okay. So as we know, Ethereum smart contracts, what they do is they allow you to execute the contract in a secure environment. That is, you write a computer program and that computer program executes the term of the contract. Okay. So we were saying that if you have a truly intelligent contract, that contract will be able to take into account different factors, like whether or not you should increase the deadline, the intention with which the contract was written. It will also be able to make exceptions. But when your smart contract, which is a computer executed contracts, it is a computer executed contract and it executes the terms of the contract when certain conditions are met. So it will not be able to make exceptions. It will not be able to make exceptions that, okay, if you have developed a decentralized application for supply chain management, that is, you are getting goods and you are making payments, and that payment is being executed using these smart contracts. So what if, because of some circumstances, say there was some kind of a natural calamity, there was floods, because of which you couldn't get your goods on time? So you want that, now the smart contract says that you have to make the payment on 12th or the 1st of this month, whatever condition it is. But since there were some external conditions because of which the goods could not be delivered, your smart contract will execute and it will say you were not able to make the payment or deliver the goods on the date on which it was supposed to be delivered. So your smart contract would act like a contract which is not intelligent at all, because it does not have human intelligence to make exceptions, to know when there are certain external factors that should also be taken into account. So right now, as of this moment, the smart contracts are really not that intelligent, because there may be conditions which would lead to the execution of the contract, but the contract should not have been executed. So you could say that your smart contract is self-executing. Nobody is like executing your contract. Computer is not executing, human is not executing. When conditions are met, the contract is executed on its own. Okay. So, and second is, it is very letter strict. You are using a programming language to write the contract, And when you're writing it using the programming language, you will always have it in the form of, if this condition is met, you will do this. If this condition is met, you will do this. If certain conditions are not met, then this should be done. So it will always be in the form of if and then. There is no intelligence there. That is, it is not able to make exceptions. So it is very letter strict. So the smart contract in like context of Ethereum is very strict. Strict in the sense that whatever terms are present in the contract, that terms will always be executed. And also, you know that blockchain is immutable in nature. Whatever gets stored in the blockchain it's stored forever. It cannot be tampered. It cannot be changed. So here also, if a smart contract is deployed on the Ethereum network, it cannot be edited or corrected. Even if you are the one who deployed your smart contract. That is, you wanted to have a decentralized, say, insurance company, and you have certain smart contracts that will execute the terms of the contract. You made the payment in the form of Ether for your smart contracts to get executed whenever certain conditions are met. So the terms of the contract are immutable in nature. So once they have been stored on the Ethereum blockchain, you will not be able to change them. The only way to change the contract is to have the entire network, Ethereum blockchain network, convinced that the change should be made. And this change is no ordinary change. It means that your blockchain network is splitting. There is a fork in the network. And the last disadvantage is difficult to secure. Why is it difficult to secure? So you know that it is self-executing in nature, and once it has executed, it is immutable. So we need to have a very, very, very perfect accuracy when we are writing the contract, because one wrong condition would lead to some unintended actions. That actions were not supposed to happen, but because the smart contract was not written properly, those conditions were executed. So we should handle the smart contracts with very much care. You should take every condition, every possible condition into account when you are writing the smart contract, because once executed, you will not be able to do anything. So when you're writing a smart contract, you should keep every condition, every statement into account. That is, every case in which your smart contract could get executed. And this is why, because you have to take so much into consideration when executing the smart contract, oftentimes it becomes difficult to secure. So these are the disadvantages of smart contracts. Any other question? Is it clear what Ethereum is, what a smart contract is? Any questions, anyone? So if you don't have any questions, you can drop your enrollment numbers who have not already done so, and then we can exit the class.